All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Um, First question I know people are going to be asking is, Beeb, why in the hell are you still talking about this event, Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul? You kept saying how much of a circus it was, how you were laughing at it, and this and that, but you keep talking about it. Well, the reason why I'm talking about it and I'm going to keep talking about it today is because of the Floyd Mayweather delusional fanboys. I keep getting these tweets on and these messages on social media about how great of a businessman Floyd is, and this was such a great thing that Floyd did, robbing the bank, whatever, right? So I'm just going to talk about a lot of things that Eric and I talked about on our previous podcasts. Salute to you, H Money. What's up, brother? Good morning, everybody. I'm just gonna just reiterate some of the things I said. Because let's be honest, uh, this was an embarrassment for Floyd. It really was. This was not a whether you love or you hate Floyd. This was just not a good look. And by me just making that observation, I'm being objective. I just don't think that the greatest boxer of our era should ever go 8 rounds with a YouTuber. I don't think the greatest boxer of our era should lose 3 to 4 or even 5 rounds to a YouTuber with 4 rounds of experience. If anyone doesn't think that that's a bad look, then you're lying to yourselves. Oh, well, he was bigger, he was this, he was that. Okay. But again, this is Floyd Mayweather. Okay. Logan Paul is not supposed to go the distance with Floyd Mayweather. The rules were designed that, okay, there wasn't any judges, right? But knockouts were allowed. Why were knockouts allowed? Floyd Mayweather made the rules for this event, right? He called all the shots, right? So why were knockouts allowed? Because Floyd Mayweather believed that he was going to knock out Logan Paul. Okay. Maybe when the fight started, maybe he didn't go as hard as he normally would. But again, Floyd has been known to start slow and give away rounds, whatever. Again, this is an exhibition, and we're actually talking about it like it was a real fight. But it was being sold to us as if it was a real fight by Floyd Mayweather, right? And then he likes to say these things like, oh, well, a legal bank robbery, right? Illegal robbery. So whenever you tell somebody that you're robbing them, you're basically diminishing and demeaning the event. So you're part of this event, and you're basically telling people that what I'm providing to you is a substandard product. Oh, this is a legal bank robbery. All right. I already talked about the definition of the word robbery. There's, obviously it's about taking things that don't belong to you, whatever. But there's also another way the word robbery is used. It's used when you swindle somebody, right? Or you sell something to somebody for a higher price than it's worth. Oh, you're going to charge me $10,000 for this car? That's a shit box. That's a robbery. Floyd Mayweather was using that word robbery in the same context as that. So he's basically telling you that he's selling you a substandard product, right? And if you buy it, basically you're an idiot. So he's inviting the criticism by the way he talked about this event in the lead up. Well, why is everyone criticizing it? Why is everyone doing that? Ask Floyd Mayweather that. Well, why is everyone talking about Floyd Mayweather's money, counting his pockets? Ask Floyd Mayweather that. That's all he talks about. Right? He changed his name to Money, right? So that's the focal point of Floyd Mayweather. He's all about money. He says, fuck legacy. Legacy can't feed my kids. Right? Here we go again. Listen to this comment. Sup, Beeb, you're still hating on Floyd Mayweather again, saying he lost an exhibition when your man Logan Paul hold on. Look, see how emotional people get. This is a biased comment. Okay? This is a biased comment from a butthurt Floyd Mayweather fan. If you have to say things like this is an embarrassment that you have to say something like this. The greatest boxer of all time. You're making excuses for the greatest boxer of all, not the greatest boxer of all time, but the greatest boxer of our era. EJ Boxing, I love you like a brother. You're my man over in the UK. You're one of my closest confidants over there, I should say. But this is an embarrassing comment, and I feel sorry for you if you're even having to utter these words. Okay, that is disgusting. BB King, get a life, Beeb. Well, why don't you get a life? Because you're on here with me. Again, when you do these things, when people make these comments, they're trying to defend the greatest boxer of our era. You shouldn't have to defend the greatest boxer of our era. Nobody who has 4 rounds of boxing experience, who is a novice, right? Who's a novice should ever go 8 rounds with the greatest boxer of our era. But he did. All right? We all said this before the fight. 99.9% of us said this before the fight. If Logan Paul goes the distance here, it's a win. Logan Paul won this fight. He won this exhibition. He won this exhibition. You could see at the end of this exhibition, Floyd Mayweather was dejected. He was embarrassed. And he said over and over again during the interview, during the post-fight press conference, that this guy was better than what I thought. This guy, man, he was wrestling me. He was holding whatever. There's been many fights when Floyd Mayweather's held a lot too. So holding and clinching is part of the sport of boxing. If you're the best fighter of your era, then you have to be able to deal with that. Oh, well, he was so much bigger. You knew that going in. You knew the guy had a wrestling background. You knew all this. So if you didn't want to take this exhibition seriously and this kid did, that's your fault. That's your fault. That would be like me playing Michael Jordan in a game of one-on-one right now. Okay? And we're playing a game of 11, and he beats me 11-10. That's a loss for Michael Jordan. He's supposed to blow me out of the water. I'm not even supposed to score on Michael Jordan. Just the fact that this kid went the distance with Floyd Mayweather, I don't care what anyone says, this is a horrible look for Floyd Mayweather. The optics of this fight were horrible. The way he was able to manhandle Floyd Mayweather, and of course, oh, he's bigger. Well, again, we knew all this going in. But Floyd Mayweather still should have been able to knock this kid out. Still should have been able to go to the body and take this guy out, but he couldn't. So it's a bad look. And it's an embarrassment. Okay, everybody, a lot of people did watch this fight. Maybe a lot of people did buy this fight. From what I hear, he was guaranteed $10 million. Who knows what he's going to make on the back end? But Floyd embellishes everything. Because I do some research, right? Say he makes $30 million off of those decals on his trunks. That's a crazy, ridiculous embellishment. Well, people, why do you care? Well, he's putting the information out there, okay? He's putting the information out there, so I'm going to have an opinion on it. If someone tells me something that's outlandish and is incorrect, then I have every right to challenge that person. If he didn't bring it up, I wouldn't bring it up. So let's look at the 3 endorsements Floyd has: Hublot, Burger King, and FanDuel. And I looked it up. I did some research, made some phone calls actually. He makes $1 million each for all 3 of those endorsements. So he makes $3 million in endorsements, right? $3 million in endorsements. Okay. So he's got 3 endorsements, and the only time he really gets paid from endorsements is when he puts patches and stuff on his trunks for the most part. So every time he has an event, that's when he gets the endorsements, because these companies will ask him, can we put the patches on your trunks? Just like Bernard Hopkins had that tattoo on his back there. Like, you know, certain fighters, they get endorsements when they're fighting. They're not going to get a lot of them don't get endorsements when they're not fighting. So those are the 3 endorsements. So instead of 30 million, he gets 3 million for the endorsements. Then he was saying, oh, I'm going to make 100 million for this fight. Then we did some research. We found out that his guarantee was 10 million. So the guy embellishes everything. Every time he talks about his numbers, he embellishes that. He embellishes them. So why can't he just tell the truth about what he makes? Why does he have to always brag about it and then lie about what he makes? Because he's a very shallow person. We just got to be honest. Again, you're hating. Fine. I'll be the hater if you want me to be the hater. I don't care if you call me a hater. I'm making an observation on the statements that he's making that are false, because he exaggerates everything. We all know he's the richest boxer in the history of the sport. That's fine. But he embellishes his numbers, and he lies a lot. Okay? He lies a lot. He's not a very honest person. He exaggerates, he lies a lot. Right? So he made 1 million each for those endorsements. Okay? In stark contrast, look at Anthony Joshua, who makes $12 million a year on his endorsements, and he doesn't even put he doesn't even have patches on his trunks. Go look at Anthony Joshua's trunks. These are endorsements he gets just by letting these guys use his name, using a picture of him. Look what the endorsements that he has: Under Armour, Jaguar, StubHub, Sky Sports, Beats by Dre, AJ Elite Series, Lynx, BXR Gym, DAZN, Audemars Peugeot, Electronic Arts, Hugo Boss. He's getting $12 million a year, while Floyd Mayweather got $3 million for putting those patches on his trunks. This guy can live off of his endorsements if he stopped fighting tomorrow. That's how much of a name this guy is, in terms of, this guy is a PR. He's a PR person's dream, right? Everyone loves this guy, Anthony Joshua, right? A lot of people don't like Floyd Mayweather. He's got a very sketchy past. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to piss on the guy's name, but he's done a lot of not so savory things in his life, right? Said a lot of things that people don't like. You don't hear Anthony Joshua bragging about his money all the time like Floyd Mayweather does. Like, Anthony Joshua is a much better person for a company to want to use, to want to endorse. He's a company's dream. All right. Mayweather's not. All right. Mayweather's not. And you look at a guy like Michael Jordan, makes $100 million a year off of Nike just by letting them use his name. So everyone's saying, well, if this is easy money for Floyd, is this really easy money, going in there and having to embarrass yourself like you did on Sunday? Isn't there easier ways for him? Isn't there easier ways for him to just make money without having to do what he did? Why can't he do what other athletes do and just live off their endorsements, live off your investments, right? There wasn't an easier way that he could make $10 million. And Anthony Joshua not only gets $12 million a year from these companies, Jaguar gives him cars. He gets watches. He gets gear. Like, if you think about it, like, for the rest of his life, from what I was told, he's getting products from these people. As long as he's under contract with them, they're giving him Beats by Dre's, giving him headphones. He's getting this guy can live off his endorsements the rest of his life. While Floyd Mayweather, the only time he gets endorsements is when he puts patches on his trunks when he's doing an event. That's the only time people want to really get behind Floyd Mayweather. The guy's toxic, guys. Let's just be honest. So everyone's like, oh, well, this was a smart move. He didn't have to do this. He just wanted. Again, at the end of the press conference, Eric made a great point. We talked about this yesterday. When he was asked about his legacy, he goes, well, legacy, my kids can't eat legacy, right? my kids can't eat legacy. Why would he even say that? Why would he even have to say that? Okay. And this is me speculating, but like, does he have to do things like this because of his spending habits? I don't care how much money he made, how and what he's doing or whatever. If he is not responsible in the way he spends and manages his money, if he has all these cars and he's got all these people around him, all these hanger-ons around him, the entourage gets bigger and bigger every time. If he has to always go on Instagram and show you what he's got, right? What is the old saying? If people always have to tell you how much money they have, then they probably don't have as much as they really say they have. He's going out of his way to show you what he has. Well, why are you counting his pockets? How can I not count his pockets? He's shoving his pockets in front of my face every day. Oh, you don't have to look at it. I can't help but look at it. It's when I go on Google News and I open up the Google News app, I'm seeing shit like, oh, look at Floyd Mayweather's car collection. Look at his 18 million. Like, who spends $18 million on it? There's Bill Gates, who's a billionaire. Do you ever see him go on Instagram and show you an $18 million watch? Like, who does that? Who does that? 44 years old, like, and still like spending money on fucking jewelry, bro. Like, who does that? Who does that? Oh, you're hating. No, I'm making an observation. These guys put themselves out there daily. They say stupid things daily. I have every right to have an opinion on what I'm seeing. If I want to make an opinion and I want to voice my opinion on what I see, I'm going to do it. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to watch it. If you're going to come on here and you're going to fucking say, Beeb, you're a hater. Well, then if I'm such a hater, then why even listen to what I'm saying? Why even come on here and have to refute my comments? Why do you feel the need to have to defend? You don't defend someone unless they're guilty of something. If there wasn't some validity to what I'm saying right now, you wouldn't have to come on here and defend this man, because that's all I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing. That's all I've heard. From the moment this event was announced, all I heard from a great portion of people that I heard from were Floyd Mayweather apologists, Floyd Mayweather defenders. Why do you have to defend somebody who's not guilty of something? Why does he have to try to legitimize himself? Like at the end of the event, when he's at the press conference, all he's talking about is, oh, well, I don't care what people think, but all you're talking about is the critics. If the critics didn't bother you, then why the fuck do you talk about them so much? And then you're going to go and say, oh, well, I'm not like Manny Pacquiao. I fight because I want to fight, not because I have to fight. Like Manny Pacquiao has to fight. How the fuck do you know what Manny Pacquiao has to do? Does anybody really think Manny Pacquiao had to fight Errol Spence? You don't think he could have fought someone else for 8 figures? You really don't think he didn't get 8 figures to fight Adrian Broner or Keith Thurman? You don't think Manny Pacquiao could have taken an easier fight against Mikey Garcia, and you don't think he could have made 8 figures doing that? You really don't think he could have done that? Oh, well, my kids can't eat off a legacy. Shout out to D-Style, because D-Style made an excellent point as well. I mean, when people tell me things and they make good points, I'm going to shout them out. I'm not going to just pass this shit off as if it was my own, right? But he said, well, that's a stupid statement, because when you have a legacy, right? Okay? When you have a legacy and you have a good name, right? What happens after you stop boxing? Like, Michael Jordan has been retired from the sport of basketball for a long fucking time. But because he has such a legacy in the sport, companies want to work with him. They want to give him endorsements, right? So your legacy does mean something. What people think of you when you're done doing what you were doing as in terms of your career. So if you were a basketball player, football player, Your legacy dictates how you make money when you stop playing basketball, when you stop playing football, when you stop fighting. So your legacy does mean something, right? Manny Pacquiao's legacy enabled him to become senator in his country and possibly president one day in his country. So, yeah, you can eat off your legacy. People will invest in you if you do have a good legacy. What you do on this earth, right, means something. People look at that, right? There's no reason why this man should not have a way more endorsements than he has right now. And the only reason why he doesn't have the endorsements of these other athletes is because of his legacy. All right? The things he says, the things he's done outside the ring will haunt him for the rest of his career. All right? And he continues to say controversial things about Muhammad Ali, continues to shit on Muhammad Ali's name even after he's gone. Right? He's the one, oh, I don't care about anyone. I don't care about criticizing anyone. I don't care about hating on anyone. But why do you keep putting other people's names in your mouth? Because you're jealous of Manny Pacquiao. You're jealous of the love Manny Pacquiao gets. He's loved more in this country than you are, and he doesn't even live here. Muhammad Ali was a legend. You're jealous of Muhammad Ali. Everybody wants to be loved. I don't give a fuck who you are. Nobody enjoys being hated. Okay? No one loves to be hated. Yeah, you can make money off it for a little while, but after a while, okay, it's going to eat away at your soul. Nobody likes to be hated. No one if he was so happy about it, then why does he come? That whole fucking press conference yesterday, or excuse me, Sunday, was a bitch session, right? It was a bitch session about how everyone criticizes me, how everyone puts me down. That was basically him trying to validate himself to the public, right? All he did was bitch and complain at the end of that press conference, or during that press conference, all the way up to the end of that press conference. All he did was bitch and complain. Does that sound like a happy person that you have to? And then he has to make a point to say, oh, that I went to my kid's graduation. You're supposed to do that. Like, you want a fucking medal because you went to your kid's graduation? You're going to list that as an accomplishment that you went to your daughter's graduation? You have to brag about that like it's a fucking accomplishment? You're a father. You're supposed to do that shit, but you have to brag about that? I mean, come on, man. Is this the guy you want to get behind, bro? I mean, yeah, he's the greatest boxer of our era. We can't take that away from it. No one's going to take again. We're not going to take away from your accomplishments in the ring. Everyone wants to talk about how he got Pacquiao at the right time. I agree with him. I mean, he was 2 years older than Pacquiao. Whatever. I call it like it is. I have no problem with his career. None. I have no problem with what he did in the ring. I can't criticize his career. I can't criticize him as a fighter. All I can do is criticize him as a man. Because at the end of the day, when you stop fighting, what are you going to be judged on? What are you going to be judged on? What you do from there on out for the rest of your life. And he's a bitter, unhappy man. If he has to sit there and tell you every day, I don't care what people think, and then go on to talk about things that are being said about him and having to always defend himself, if you really don't care what people like AJ never says anything. When he lost to freaking Andy Ruiz. When he lost to Andy Ruiz, did he cry and complain about it? Right? When this whole thing was going on with Tyson Fury, did he talk a lot? Right? When Anthony Joshua lost, he got a lot of hate. He didn't cry and complain about it. He don't talk about it. Right? He just got back up on the horse, stayed focused, and did what he had to do. All right? That's how you're supposed to carry yourself outside the ring. All right? Does Sugar Ray Leonard brag about how much money he has? Does he have to go on Instagram and flash his cars and flash his watches and flash his? This guy's 44 years old and he's acting like a kid, bro. This is shit you do when you're like fucking 21. Hey man, look at my shit, bro. Like, who does that at 44? Who the fuck does that at 44 years old? Come on, that's not normal. You can't fucking tell me that's normal. So for all you guys that are saying, oh, well, he did this because he wanted to do it and he didn't have to do it, I'm very skeptical of that. I really am. You can't sit there and tell me there was not easier ways for him to make $10 million without having to go out there and embarrass himself. Oh, well, BB just wants the attention. Again, there's other ways to get attention. Do something positive in your community, right? Do something positive in your community. Get attention for doing something productive, right? Doing something that's going to help people, right? And then you're bragging about how you're robbing people. You're basically telling people this event was a scam, and if you buy it, you're an idiot, right? If you buy this event, you're a sucker. That's what he told you. And you know what? You can call me a sucker because I bought the event, but I actually did get a refund on it. But I did buy it. But again, people were not cheering for him. They were laughing at him. Okay? People were laughing. All right? I looked at this event the same way I look at it when I go buy tickets to a comedy show, right? Or I go buy tickets to a circus. Okay? That's what I looked at this event as. I was laughing when I was watching this. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. Fucking Logan Paul's actually hitting the greatest boxer of our era. Right? And then you have people, oh, well, look how great this was that he can go in there and make money and still be relevant even after he retires. People are still interested in this, whatever. Yeah, because it was a freak show. Everyone loves and stops and watches a freak show. If I walked outside right now naked, right, with nothing on, in broad daylight, I could get attention too. But is it the attention that I really want, right? People aren't looking at me like, wow, this guy did something great. No, they're looking at me like, what an ass this guy is. What an idiot, right? People stop and watch a car crash. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Because people love drama, right? People love drama. So anyone can get attention. That's fine. Oh, I don't care if you write good stuff about me or you write bad stuff about me. Just write about me. Okay, so you don't care how you're perceived, right? So stop and don't complain about it. Then don't complain about it. So if you don't care, then why do you cry? Every time you're in front of a camera, you cry about how people perceive you. You cry about what people's opinions are about you, right? I love it when everyone cares what people say about them. Now, sometimes you could look at the person who's saying something, you can say, okay, well, who is that guy to say that about me? He's an idiot anyways. I get it, but nobody likes when they're being put in a negative light. Like there's a great amount of people who just don't like this guy, right? They just don't like this guy. If you're going to have to continuously defend yourself, right? Then obviously it bothers you. And if you guys have to come on here and continue to defend him, then obviously you're emotionally vested in him. Well, Beeb, aren't you emotionally invested in him? You're talking about him too. Well, I'm making an observation of what I see. Okay? I'm making an observation of what I see. I have an opinion on what I see. Right? I'm here. This is what I do. Right? I like to debate things. I provide counter arguments to things. This is what I enjoy doing. Right? This is what I do. I'll debate anybody about anything. Right? That's what I do. I enjoy doing it. And I talked about this event because it's boxing, right? It's Floyd Mayweather, the greatest boxer of our era, arguably, right? So why wouldn't I talk about it? Now, don't get mad at me because you don't like what I'm saying. I'm not going to get mad at you for saying what you say. But if it comes off as being biased, then I will call you out on it being biased. You're not going to sit there and tell me that there is not better ways for a man of Floyd Mayweather's stature to go out and make $10 million. You're not going to sit there and tell me that Anthony Joshua, who makes $12 million a year on endorsements, just by letting these guys use his name, use a picture of him. They're giving him cars, watches for free. You're giving him all this shit for free. You don't have to pay for it. Anthony Joshua is a much, much more marketable athlete than Floyd Mayweather is. And he'll continue to be more marketable as his career goes on. And when his career is over, he's not going to have to do shit like this because he can live off his endorsements and his investments and probably the businesses that he has. So no one puts themselves in a clown show like Floyd Mayweather did, puts themselves in a situation where they can be laughed at and made a joke of. No one does that voluntarily, in my opinion. And this is my opinion. Do I know what's going on in Floyd's mind? No, but what I do know is all I can do is judge someone off of their behavior. Behavior is proof. And if you're constantly talking about other people, like bringing up like why would you have to bring Muhammad Ali's name up when you're asked about why did you fight Logan Paul? What the fuck does Muhammad Ali have to do with you having an exhibition with Logan Paul? Nothing. What does Manny Pacquiao fighting Errol Spence have to do with you fighting an exhibition with Logan Paul? Nothing, right? Why do you still bring up Top Rank and talk about HBO at the end of every press conference of a fight? Why do you have to keep telling people, oh, well, HBO didn't pay me what I was supposed to get paid and fucking Top Rank didn't pay me what I was supposed to? Like, why are you still bitter at the end of it all? Why do these things still bother you, right? This just goes to show you guys that money does not buy happiness. All I can say is this. If you have $10 million, right? Or even if you have $5 million to $10 million, are you going to live a bad life? The only way your life is going to be tough for you is if you spend beyond your means. How many people have we seen? We can go down the list of people who just spend. The more they make, the more they spend. And if you have a guy who's constantly talking about and constantly showing you things that they buy, right? And if he has to constantly defend himself and say, well, everyone thinks that I'm doing this because I have to do it. No, I'm doing this because I want to do it. Why? Why would you have to defend yourself? Why do you have to validate yourself constantly? Why do you have to, at this stage of your life, why do you have to continue to have to try and defend and validate yourselves to people? Why do you go out of your way to answer these critics? If these critics don't bother you, then why do you have to keep talking about them then? Right? No one talks about something as much as he does if it doesn't bother them. You have to look at that. Look at Michael Jackson, the poor guy. Right? Look at Prince. Look at all these people. Look at Jimi Hendrix. Look, you can go down the list of people who were very rich, very famous, and they just weren't happy people, and they ended up leaving us before their time, but way before they should have, right? These weren't happy people. And I'm sorry to have to say that. I don't take pleasure in saying that, but there's a many, like Michael Jackson had way more money than Floyd Mayweather. He wasn't happy. And I love Michael Jackson. I mean, he's, you could say what you want. I'm not going to get into the other stuff, but I grew up really admiring Michael Jackson. I don't really know the whole thing. People can say what they want about the other incidences. I really don't know the truth when it comes to that. I don't know. Part of me says that doesn't, whatever. I'm not going to get too, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But at the end of the day, Michael Jackson was way, way more wealthy than Floyd Mayweather when he wasn't happy, right? Look at Robin Williams. Look how much money he had. Let's look at Robin Williams' net worth. Okay. Let's look at Robin Williams' net worth. What it was. I'm just curious what his net worth was before he passed away, before he left us. So he was worth $50 million when he died. Okay. $50 million. Obviously, he was a very wealthy man, right? Very wealthy man. But he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. Right? So at the end of the day, I just don't think money does buy happiness. Money, for a lot of people, gives them instant gratification. It doesn't give them long-term gratification. Like Biggie said, more money, more problems, right? And the more money you make, the more money you spend. The more money you make, the more money you want to make. It's addictive. Money can be addictive. People can be, you make the money, you don't let the money make you, right? When you're chasing dollars, what happens? What happens when you're chasing dollars? Right? If you're constantly chasing money, at some point you have to be secure with yourself. At some point you have to be able to live off your investments. At some point you have to be able to live off your endorsements. At some point you have to be able to live off businesses that you've created or real estate that you created, right? At some point there has to be a level where you say, okay, that's it. Now, if you want to do other things, that's fine. But why would you put yourself in a situation like this where the whole world was laughing at you? This was a freak show. B, why are you talking? Because again, this is what I do. It was shoved in front of my face, right? I couldn't help but not talk about this. I couldn't help but not talk about this. And again, I had no problem with it from the beginning. But what I am going to do is have an opinion on it. You can call me a hater all you want. I'm being objective. I question a lot of things about Floyd Mayweather. I think that he embellishes a lot of things. I think he exaggerates a lot of things. I think he puts out a false image to the public. I don't think this man is really, truly happy in life. If someone has to keep telling you how happy they are, they have to try to convince you how happy they are. This guy is constantly trying to convince people of things, always. That's the definition of an insecure man, right? It's like that woman who needs to be told every day how beautiful they are. That's not a woman who has a high self-esteem. This is a man who won't let people interview them. He only lets Fight Hype interview him. Why? Because Fight Hype tells him what he wants to hear. They give him that narcissistic supply that he desires so much, right? That's what they do. They give him that narcissistic supply that he needs so much. So why did Floyd Mayweather fight Logan Paul? Was it because he needs money? Possibly. Was it because he needs attention? Possibly. At the end of the day, in my opinion, he fought Logan Paul for all the wrong reasons. If he was happy and secure within himself and within his retirement, then he wouldn't have done this. Something is missing in his life for him to feel that he had to fight Logan Paul in an exhibition. George Foreman's not fighting exhibitions, right? George Foreman's not fighting exhibitions against YouTubers. Mike Tyson fought an exhibition, but he fought an exhibition against another man in his same age group who was a former fighter. He's not fighting YouTubers, right? He fought another fighter in his same age group, and Roy Jones. Two legends fighting each other, right? He's not fighting Logan Paul, right? He's not fighting a football player. He's not fighting an MMA. He fought another fighter, right? So by Floyd Mayweather fighting a guy with 4 rounds of boxing experience, fighting a guy 50 pounds heavier than him, right? Fighting a guy who is basically known for his social media presence, right? This was clout chasing at its finest, right? This was clout chasing at its finest, right? That's what it was. That's what it was. He fought Logan Paul for a reason, because he needed. I don't know for 100% certainty that he fought him because he's hurting for cash. In my opinion, I don't think Floyd Mayweather has a lot of liquidity. I think most of his money is all tied up into his assets. I don't think he has a ton of money when it comes to liquidity, but that's just my opinion, right? That's just my opinion. I don't think Floyd Mayweather is financially secure as he tries to portray to the public, because he's always talking about it. He's always saying, like when someone's constantly saying, well, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. Like, why would they have to constantly have to say that if they didn't have a problem? Well, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm not, like, people who are like constantly have to defend themselves. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. It doesn't bother me. I don't care what you say. I don't care. Like, why would you have to continue to have to say that if it like something just doesn't add up here? Someone who has to constantly try to prove themselves to people and constantly try to validate themselves to people, that tells me that they have a problem with insecurity, and maybe they're not really what they are putting out to the public. Maybe they're really not who they're trying to portray themselves as, right? That's the thing. Floyd Mayweather comes off to me as a very envious person. It's constantly name dropping other legends, right? Oh, Ali lost 5 times. How can I not be better than Ali, right? Oh, I don't want to end up like Muhammad Ali, not being able to walk and talk properly, right? Why does he have to continue to have to say that? Oh, I'm not broke. I'm not broke. I'm doing this because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. Why do you have to keep saying that? If that's the truth, then that should be without saying, right? That goes without saying if that's the truth. Why do you have to keep validating yourself? So at the end of the day, one way or another, whether it be because he needed the money or whether because he needed the attention, one way or another, Floyd Mayweather had to do this. He had to do this. I don't think he just did this because he wanted to do this. Because like I said, there's many other things he could have done to make money, and there should have been many other. If he's as smart as he says he is, and he's as financially secure as he says he is, then in my opinion, there had to have been way more ways for him to be able to make money than put himself out there and be laughed at. And if anyone out there right now watching this video does not think that Floyd Mayweather today, after reading everything and going back and watching him in that ring, if you do not think he's embarrassed right now, then you are delusional. You are suffering from the greatest form of cognitive dissonance that you can possibly suffer from. All you have to do is go and look at him after that fight. Look at how dejected he looked. Look at how embarrassed he looked when he was walking back to the locker room. Look at how defensive he was at that post-fight press conference. Logan Paul was happy, laughing, right? He was on top of the world. He didn't criticize anybody. He all he did was praise people, right? All Floyd Mayweather did was complain and sound bitter, right? Sound bitter. And then he has to brag about going to his daughter's graduation like that's some sort of accomplishment. Like that's something you should do. That's just a requirement that you have as a father. All right. But you want to brag about that like it's an accomplishment, like you did something great that the rest of the fathers out there wouldn't have done. Any good father, any good parent goes to their kid's graduation. That's automatic. But you want to get extra credit because you're Floyd Mayweather? You want to get extra credit for that? Guys, I mean, this is some of you guys who worship this guy. This is your hero. This is your hero. This is your hero. You might want to take a look in the mirror and say to yourself, if you're worshiping guys like this, right, then you have to question yourself a little bit. Why would you worship? Why would you want to worship a guy like this? And money does not buy happiness. If you have money and you're still not happy, and you think that you have to continue to make money to be happy, then all you're doing is like this guy, all this guy's doing is chasing the dollar. All right. He's chasing the dollar. Okay. He's not making the money is making him. If you have to change your name to money and you want yourself to be known as money, right? Then the money is controlling you. You're not controlling the money. If anyone can throw money in front of your face and you're willing to embarrass yourself just to make that money, you're chasing the dollar. He's chasing the dollar. Because once you start chasing the dollar, that's when the money starts running, right? And you're never going to catch up to it. What does that mean, babe? That means no matter how much you make, you're not going to be happy. It's like a drug addict. It's like a drug addict. Anyone can be obsessed and addicted to anything, whether it be women, sex, food, drugs, right? This man is so unhappy with his life that he thinks the only solution to happiness is what? Making money. Well, you made a lot. You made a lot of money already, but you're still complaining about what people think about you. You're still trying to subtract from others to add to yourself. You're talking about things that have nothing to do with this event. Why? Because they bother you. There's things that still eat away at you, and you just can't let them go. You're still mad at Bob Arum. You're still mad at HBO. Instead of putting that shit behind you, right? Instead of putting that shit behind you, you're still holding grudges at 44 years old, right? Everyone has to start somewhere, right? There was a purpose for everything that went on in your career that made you what you are today. So Floyd Mayweather keeps chasing the money, and the money keeps running. The money keeps running and running and running and running and running and running. Will he ever catch it someday? Well, the moment he stops chasing it, that's the moment it's going to stop running from him, and he's going to be happy. And on that note, I'm out of here. Have a good day, everybody. Peace out.